The first thing you need to ask yourself, what is the context? Where do I find this color that I'm looking for? And the big question there, is it in the light or is it in the shadows? Now, why does this matter? Well, the first thing is that we need to understand where we should be at on our palette. So we're going to actually make our mixtures on the palette according to where we're at in these two different worlds. Are we in the world of light or are we in the world of shadows? Each area is going to require something very different. The other thing this does is it helps you to avoid some common illusions. Something that tends to happen if we see something in the shadows and it appears just a little bit lighter than everything else around, well, it may look really bright to us, even though it's not really the case. So we're trying to avoid some of these common pitfalls, things that happen as a result of these kind of illusions. The other thing is when you're in the lights, well, things could appear much darker or much more colorful than they really are. So by first identifying the value, you're helping to avoid some of these common traps. You're also going to be deciding where you should be at on the palette. And finally, you're actually choosing the most important part of your color mixing, which is the value. We're going to talk more about this, but I cannot say enough how important it is that you pay attention to values. They are the structure, they are everything when it comes to creating form and depth. And without a value that works or without values that are well placed, the entire rest of your painting, the effects that you build on top, the colors, everything is going to fall apart. So it's very, very important that you know where you're at approximately on the value scale. If there's one thing I could get you to take away from the course, it's going to be this right here, because it will just eliminate so many of your problems when it comes to color mixing. Now, if you think that these problems don't apply to you, let me just show you something right here. This is absolutely mind-blowing. So this is an optical illusion. And the example here is that A and B, this square right here and this square right here, they are actually the exact same value. And that is unbelievable. And if you're like me, you might be thinking, no way. This is just a little trickery going on here. You've probably put in some different colors and you're gonna do something here to make it so that this works. Go check it for yourself. I couldn't believe this until I actually closed out and put these two side by side. So, feel free to go and try this. The point is, no matter how long you look at this thing, this illusion will never, never make sense to the eye. So why does this happen? Our perception is very context dependent. So we see things differently depending on how they are shown to us. In this case, because of the surrounding elements, we see drastically different values between these two squares, and we just can't wrap our minds around it. We can't believe that these two could be the same value. No matter how long you look at this, it's never going to change. You're never going to see it differently. So why am I telling you this? Am I trying to say you shouldn't trust your mind? No, not really. I'm just saying you need to be aware of what you're working with. And you need to check the context. You need to check where you're at relatively so that you can make more intentional decisions with your palette. If you know that you're in the shadows, well, you know that that light is going to appear brighter than it really is. If you're in the lights, you know that slightly colorful, darker midtone, it's going to appear much darker and much more colorful than it really is. So this is the very start of getting control over your palette and making better decisions with your palette. You need to simply be aware. It's not that you need to know every single little trick that there is, but just by taking a moment to recognize, to see where you're really at, you will make better choices. So just knowing where you're at in the values makes a massive difference. The thing we can do next is we can start to be strategic. So we can decide based on where we're at, how we should approach it. And that's where the strategy actually comes in. And you'll probably approach the situation differently if you're in the lights versus in the shadows. So that right there is why this is number one, and number one is more important than anything else. Nothing else that I'll show you is more important than that, and it's so simple. I know that might not seem like a big deal, but it will change everything that you do.